Kingdom Hearts 2. It's like my favorite game. The music, the art style, the gameplay, it's all... but it's pretty easy. Like, okay, no offense to the GOAT, but nobody can really say that it asks much of the player to be able to beat it. That was actually one of the main criticisms of the game when it first came out. And that impression lingers on into today. Like, okay, lots of people will praise the gameplay of Kingdom Hearts 2 and say it's like the perfect Kingdom Hearts game, but nobody's really listing it alongside the must-play action games of the past few generations. And honestly, I can't really blame them. What's so interesting about KH2 specifically though is how deep and engaging that combat system really is underneath all of the fluff. And the only way I've found to get all that cream to rise to the top is to play on critical mode, and specifically level 1. Playing on crit level 1 is so far removed from the normal KH2 experience that like it might as well not even be the same game. Of course the game feel and the mechanics are the same, but the way you approach situations and moment to moment combat is completely different from the way you do on lower difficulties. You actually have to think, and mashing X does not work. Now I'm sure to like the casual Kingdom Hearts enjoyer, crit level 1 sounds like a ridiculous slog. It sounds like an annoying hard and not like a fun hard. But I am here to tell you that it's really not. This difficulty setting, in my opinion, elevates KH2 to among the best in the genre, and most people don't even know. So what's so different about level 1? What do these words even mean? Critical mode is an added special difficulty that was included in the final mix version of the game. Tons of new content, new areas to explore, new enemies and bosses, and an entirely new way to experience the game. Critical mode isn't just KH2 but harder though. While you do take twice the amount of damage compared to standard difficulty, you also deal 1.25 times damage. Enemies are more lethal, but so are you. This makes critical mode a lot more difficult, but playing well is more rewarding. You take a lot of damage on critical mode, but you're also dishing it out big time. Critical mode also gives you extra abilities to start with at the very beginning of the game that aren't available to you on normal difficulties. You got Reaction Boost, Finishing Plus, a couple others, and EXP 0. This does exactly what you think it does. It makes you gain 0 EXP. This way you can stay at level 1 throughout the entire game. Basically the point of equipping this is to limit the amount of health you gain, the amount of magic you can cast, the abilities you earn, and the damage you do. But since this is basically a new difficulty setting, it's intentionally balanced to be a legitimate way to play through the entire game. Your attack strength and your defense scales with the enemies you fight, so you're never doing chip damage, and you're not dying in one hit as often as you might think. The goal of this mode isn't to make you feel super weak and grind through the whole game with no stats. The point of crit level 1 is to force the player to learn the game inside and out, to pay attention, to get good. It changes every aspect of the game's combat, and for the better in my opinion. And it all starts in the... So at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2, you play as Jesse McCartney and not Haley Joel Osment. I hated this part growing up. It's boring and it takes forever if you watch all the cutscenes like a good boy. But more importantly, gameplay wise, this bitch is no Sora, buddy. He feels like he's walking around in 40-pound shoes. He's not quick or nimble when he needs to be. He has one slow ass, laggy ass, dumb ass jump. And his combos feel sluggish and weak. In a game where you mash X and sometimes triangle, he does not feel good to mash X. For this, I hated him. But playing on level 1 has given me a whole new appreciation for this section. Rucksus is intentionally shitty to make you better at the game in the long run. Normally, you don't really notice this. Everybody becomes a fucking speedrunner when it comes to the Rucksus section. You just run up and you bash everything and you skip all the cutscenes just to get it over with. But not on crit level 1. Would you believe that Dinkbrinkus Gaming actually died several times during this section? Regular ass enemies killed me. This final mob fight before you fight Axel for the second time is crazy. The Rucksus section really fulfills that intended purpose of teaching you how to play when you crank the difficulty up. The whole learning process that you go through kind of ties into the overarching gameplay narrative of crit level 1. That is the need for tools. Rucksus has no tools. This motherfucker is like a caveman in 10 billion BC. He knows how to do guard. And that's it. He don't have no magic. He don't have no roll. Buddy, what are we doing? By making you start as someone who's so unbelievably ass, it makes the player learn how to compensate for the shortcomings of the character. When you're playing as Rucksus, it's not safe to just run up and bash enemies until they die. They'll break out of your combos, your attacks will whiff, sometimes you'll get hit from behind, and you're gonna take a ton of damage with no real way to heal except for the couple potions they give you. No, you have to wait, find your opening, and find the distance that you can play at while still being safe. You gotta play neutral. Like I said a minute ago, the only defensive option you have is guard, which is laggy and kind of weird to use. You can't just spam it. You have to time it correctly when you see an enemy is about to hit you. By not giving you a dodge roll and by making Rucksus slow as fuck, you get used to a slower pace of combat. You don't have a way to safely and quickly close the distance, so you have to take a step back and really focus on what the enemies are doing instead of just running up and hitting them. Learning this at the beginning of the game is so important because on crit level 1, you have to study enemy attack patterns. You can pretty much get through a normal run of KH2 without learning any enemy attack patterns, except for like maybe some bosses. That shit is not gonna fly on crit level 1. Every enemy is a threat, and every enemy must be given respect, especially in the early game. Equally as important, you have to learn your attack patterns. How long your attacks last, where your attacks will send enemies, and when you are vulnerable during them. You've got to become acquainted with your own character. To get through these mob fights, you have to think, okay, the opening hit of my combo only reaches here. I'm completely vulnerable if I whiff because my combo doesn't continue unless I make contact. Okay, my finisher sends them over there. How long am I in end lag after that? One or two mistakes in your neutral or your punish game will get you killed. So you have to find out what is safe for you to do while also maximizing damage. Again, you learn very quickly the pace of combat on this new difficulty. You're not gonna be fucking slicing your way through the game. Crit level 1 is a much more patient and deliberate experience. And I know patient and deliberate are just about as far from the Mash X gameplay that Kingdom Hearts is known for. Let me take a step back. If you've never played Kingdom Hearts, a lot of this might sound pretty obvious to you. I mean, it's a combat action game. Of course, you have to learn enemy attack patterns and pay attention. Those are just the things you need to do by the nature of the genre. But the thing is, and I know I'm not alone in this, I have never had to play Kingdom Hearts this intently. It has never been nearly hard enough to break me away from the cycle that I always fall into with these games. Let's imagine, let's say, in Dark Souls, you don't take serious damage from mistakes. Let's say instead of Estus flasks, you're able to completely heal yourself every 60 to 30 seconds. When you're not able to do it, you have a companion there who's able to do it every 30 or so seconds. You also have items and abilities that are able to heal you whenever you want. Would you care about getting hit? No. You would run in, wail on the enemy until your health gets low, run away, and heal yourself. Rinse and repeat. That is how I have always played Kingdom Hearts. The game is so forgiving because it's designed, let's be fucking for real, to be played by children. They have fun and colorful Disney characters to hang out with and Disney worlds to explore. They have a story that is pretty basic and a fun and simple gameplay loop. I was a little baby boy when I first played these games, and if they weren't so forgiving with the mechanics, I never would have been able to beat them, and that would have sucked. But Kingdom Hearts 2 specifically has a battle system with a lot of depth and attention to detail. And it feels like the devs created critical mode and the Zero EXP ability as a way to show it off and push the player to explore it. And the Rucksus section is instrumental in that. He shows you right there at the beginning of the game that you can't just overpower everything. There's no running away to grind so you can wallop anything giving you trouble. There's no heal spamming or weak little baby enemies. Honestly, there's hardly any leniency for the majority of this playthrough. You have to get better and play smarter. Rucksus sucking major ass informs how you have to approach the rest of the game so that when you finally get the tools to just absolutely destroy shit, you know how to use them intelligently. Let's talk about that. When you switch to Sora for the first time, it is a mondo moment. You spent all this time learning how to play as this jackass, never held a damn sword in his life, and then they let you play as this guy. Whoa. Sora is faster, his combos are snappier, and they cover more ground and are more useful. This makes sense story-wise because this guy hits kids with foam bats and this guy's been around the block. But more importantly, gameplay-wise, Sora just feels so much better to play as. He does more damage than Rucksus. He has better air and ground mobility, and because of that, your effective range increases. He just feels better. Switching to Sora is a huge upgrade, and as you play, Sora continues to get stronger. While you're always doing pretty set damage, your attacks get much more useful as you play. Story progression rewards you with new combo attacks, new finishing moves, stronger magic, combo pluses, and combo modifiers. So even though you aren't leveling up your strength, or your defense, or your magic, or your health, it doesn't really matter, because your character is getting stronger in a way that changes gameplay and simplifies interactions. Like, okay, here's an example. Slide Dash is a new combo opener you get later on in the game. It vastly increases the range from which a combo can be started. Like, look at this shit. This obviously lets you engage an enemy from a much further distance, and you have to worry a lot less about whiffing and leaving yourself vulnerable. Here's another one, Magnet Burst. Magnet Burst is one of the most useful abilities you get in the whole game. Air combos tend to be quicker and safer, so having an air finisher that does good damage, sucks in multiple enemies at once, and leaves most enemies stunned afterwards is such a big upgrade. The difference these new abilities make is so big, and they mean so much because of how much mental energy goes into keeping yourself safe when learning the combat. Getting a new move and feeling like you can just bully enemies is such a relief, and it lets you experiment with the game's other systems a little bit more. By the late game, you have all kinds of wacky shit that you can do. Like, here's the base combo. Here's the late game combo. The game is sick. I mentioned modifiers a minute ago, and I showed some in that last clip, so I'm going to talk about them for a second. Is that okay? Am I allowed? Combo modifiers give direct control to the player over when they want to switch up their combo. The first one you get is upper slash. It allows you to substitute a normal combo attack with a launcher. Basically, you would do this so you start a ground combo, upper slash, jump up, and then do an air combo. This is a great tool for maximizing damage, and it's also useful if you're getting swarmed on the ground. A late game modifier you get is finishing loop. This essentially does the same thing, but instead it replaces a combo finisher and it pops up multiple enemies all at once. Being able to switch it up like this makes picking your openings a little bit easier because you know you kind of have a way to get safe if things go south. Also, it lets you get a little custom with it. You do have to be careful though. Like with everything else in this game, there's a drawback to using these tools in the wrong time. Every modifier you get is permanently mapped to the square button, or the X button for the X boys. Shout out X boys. What else is mapped to this button, you may ask? Blocking, dashing, rolling, all of it is on that square button. This can create a situation where wires can easily get crossed in the middle of a combo. Hey guys, editor here. I've been looking through all my notes and all the clips, and I can't find any footage of this actually happening. So, believe me, it really does. It's just not as common as it might seem. But it is important because it fits my narrative. Also, I can't really take it out, so... You may overextend and feel like you need to roll away in the middle of attacking. Maybe your enemy is about to retaliate. So you mash square, but the roll doesn't come out. This can definitely be frustrating, but it also plays into that deliberate pace of the combat I was talking about. Don't fucking run in if you're not ready for the consequences. Don't go for any opening if you don't think you can complete your combo. Only seize the opportunities if you know you can do it safely. Doing so makes so many other things shine. Things like fire, freeze, thunder. In Kingdom Hearts, you gain magic moves to fill out your combo game. Really quickly, if you've never played this game before, KH2's combat system is totally numbers based. Starting out, you have 2 filler attacks and 1 finisher. 2 finishers if you equip the finishing plus ability you get for playing on critical mode. Throughout the game, you get combo plus abilities that increase the number of combo moves you can do before your finisher. The way magic works is you can cast a spell in the middle of your combo in place of a regular Keyblade attack. You can substitute one of your 2 combo moves for a spell, or you can save the spell until the end for a powerful magical finisher. The way you can mix in magic with your regular Keyblade attacks gives you so much freedom in how you can approach encounters. Like, watch this. The first spell you get is Blizzard. Freeze! Blizzard is a long-range spell that shoots a projectile at enemies from a distance. It doesn't cost much MP to use, and it does okay damage. Like you're going to see with most magic in this game, it's not going to be a primary damage dealer. Blizzard is not going to replace Keyblade attacks as your main way to kill, and it takes forever to lame enemies out from across the arena with it. No. Blizzard shines in its utility. In the early game, it is the only way to deal damage from a distance. You can use it to safely finish off an enemy without running in to do a combo. It gives that finishing plus ability a real use because most of the time your normal finisher sends the enemy too far away to hit them with a second. So just substitute the second finisher for a Blizzard finisher, and now you're cooking with ice. And it's really cool because, like, who the thought to use Blizzard? Nobody's ever used Blizzard in their whole life. But no, on crit level 1, you have to use it because it's one of your tools. You get Fire next, and it's actually useful in the opposite way. Who'da thunk? Instead of being a projectile, Fire creates a rotating barrier around Sora that hits enemies on all sides of him. It's a great way to start a combo if you're being surrounded, and it's also perfect for the middle of the combo if the enemies are getting a little too frisky. The Fire finisher stuns enemies and sends them flying, giving you a little breathing room in a hectic mob fight. Thunder's the last of the early game magic, and you use it to pop enemies up from a distance and start an air combo. Air combos, like I said earlier, are generally safer because they're snappier and they keep you safe from the guys on the ground. Air combos also have more horizontal travel, so it naturally pushes you away from the group of enemies that cluster around you. So you can do a ground combo, end with a Thunder finisher, which does really good damage, then jump up and start an air combo. You can get a whole nother combo's worth of damage off on an enemy for just the cost of a little MP. You want that free damage, because in this game, every encounter can mean life or death, period. You are literally fighting enemies in this game. The mob encounters are so fun, and most of the enemies are a blast to learn and fight. The game likes to throw different mob compositions at you to make you navigate the battlefield differently. Taking what you know about all these different enemy types and seeing how they work together is a real hoot. It's like a chess position. What pieces are supporting others? Which ones can I isolate and attack? How can I navigate the board safely? It's awesome. Like, okay, here's a fight with a big ass bruiser in the center that's flanked by flying guys. You want to get the big guy out of the way because he's a menace, but you get pwned by his little minions. So what I did was bait the little guys out to the edge of the arena away from the big guy's range and take them out separately. When the big bruiser jumps over to me, I either took a chance to get some damage on him while he's vulnerable in the air, or I just run away and rinse and repeat. It's a dance you have to learn to stay safe and beat encounters. My favorite example of this is in this fight. This is now one of my favorite encounters in the entire game. No joke, a fight that has never made an impression on me before is one of the best. And all because I had to use my brain. There's tons of shadows around, so fire comes in handy early. Get them out of the way, kill the rider, and then you have to fight two riders at the same time. These guys are going to kill you in one hit with almost every move they have, so you have to be very careful. You don't even have Donald and Goofy in this fight, by the way, it's just you and fucking Pink. However, like I showed you in the previous fight, they have trouble closing the distance. So if you get one isolated, it gives you a chance to practice optimizing your punish game. Like most large enemies, they're only staggered by finishers. It's possible to perform your air combo in such a way that it comes out quickly enough for you to stun them, hit the ground, and complete another air combo before they're able to retaliate. You can essentially stun lock this bitch if your timing is good enough. It's a ton of fun, and it forces the player to come up with a strategy and think about what they're doing. And this isn't the only good mob fight in this game. There's a million amazing encounters littered throughout every single world. The first time I played through on level 1, I actually made a point to go through and clear every single room in the game, at every single stage in the game so I could fight all kinds of different mob compositions. There's no achievement for this, like I didn't do it for grinding purposes, obviously. I just wanted to fight all the different enemies. I like the way the game comes up with different compositions and makes me think of new strategies. It was fun. And a lot of times, these regular mob fights will require you to use all kinds of tools to get through them at all. I often found myself, like at the end of the game especially, beating a really difficult room looking like this. You'll be using potions, ethers, elixirs, as well as a bunch of other underutilized tools to get through these mob fights at all. Raise your hand if you used summons in Kingdom Hearts 2, and then put it down because you're a liar or a freak. I can easily say that summoning was the most overlooked mechanic in Kingdom Hearts 2 by a long shot. Why would you want to use a summon and waste your freaking Super Saiyan juice? Sure, the novelty is cool, like once. I mean, I like when Stitch licks my screen and shoots at bad guys, but come on. Why use a summon that doesn't seem to really do anything when you could get a sick new costume with a second Keyblade that makes mashing X even cooler than it already is? It's an obvious choice. But on level 1, it's not so simple.
Dude, these transitions.
Once again, it's all about the utility. Each summon has a specific role in your kit that makes fighting way easier. The first summon you get is Chicken Little. Now, I love Chicken Little, but IMDb says most people don't. But it's what he can do for me that keeps me coming back. Chicken Little will whistle, and that whistle acts like a magnet, sucking enemies in and stunning them for a long ass time. You remember these bitch ass car guys? I bet most of you who played this game hate these motherfuckers. I know I do. Why? Because after you hit them enough, aka hit their damage barrier, they go freaking sicko mode and they're invincible. The only chance you have to hurt them is when they're done with their third vroom attack, which does insane damage, by the way. 99% of the time, they end up way the fuck over there. I used to try and use Valor Form for like the extra ground speed to kind of close the distance, but you can't even block in Valor Form, and buddy, you really need to block. I tried Magic, and that does damage, but it takes so long, and it's so dangerous to fight these guys for an extended period of time. You just have no way to close the distance in the early game. But guess what?
What?
Chicken Little makes these guys your chicken little bitches. Even if they're in their mayhem mode, Chicken Little pulls them right out of it, leaves them flailing right in front of you, just begging to be whooped. Also, you regain health for every hit that you land while Chicken Little is out. Do you see how useful this can be? Do you see why they put something like this in the game? And there's a use for all of the summons, and if it weren't for this added difficulty, I would have never known. It's a whole new world out there. Let's shift gears for a second. Companions suck. Your party members don't do freaking anything. Donald is dead. And when he's not dead, he's not freaking healing me. Goofy is off doing his own thing most of the time, and he doesn't even do much damage anyway. Wow, why worry about either one of them? And don't even get me started on world-specific allies. Yeah, it's cool to have like Tron and Mulan in your party, but why would you ever switch out Donald when his healing spell is the only thing that they might ever do to possibly help you? All that is a lie. It's a disgusting narrative that's been shoved down the throats of every true patriot for years.
I don't need a weapon. My friends are my power.
I can already hear you breathing heavily, your heart rate's increasing, your blood pressure's rising. You probably agreed with everything I was saying because, hey, everyone knows the party members suck in this game. I mean, they don't really help in any way you would expect. They aren't damage dealers. Donald has no idea how to stay at a distance, even though he's this big and made of feathers. They seem to be completely worthless in boss fights unless the stars align for Donald to actually heal you. And look, all of that is valid. I had the exact same experience. But on level 1, it's a whole different thing, man. You just don't even know. And you can't zoom around annihilating everything in 2 seconds. You tend to notice a few things. Your companions have a role. This is an action RPG, right? You might be like, oh yeah, we know, Donald is a mage and a healer. Too bad he sucks at it. Actually, I think the better example for this is Goofy. Every companion has abilities, just like Sora. And each of Goofy's abilities help manage the battlefield in a specific way. He isn't meant to do big damage. That's your job. He's meant to occupy multiple enemies at once and simplify encounters for the player. He's a tank. and his abilities really play into that role. His Goofy Tornado sucks multiple enemies in, stun locks them for an extended period of time, and does consistent damage. It allows the player to focus on other enemies on the battlefield while these guys are stuck in the spinning mixer. You just say, I don't even care about what's happening over there. I'm fighting these guys now. Goofy's got it. How many times you say Goofy's got it? It's true. You can also just take this as an opportunity to get free damage on a group of enemies all at once because he's sucking them all in. They're not going anywhere. His Goofy Bash hits enemies from a distance and allows you to close in on them safely. He's also got a ton of defensive abilities and more armor slots than anyone in the game, so he can stay alive for longer. Not to mention his shield blocks and parries enemy attacks. And Goofy isn't the only one either. Here's Auron using his divider ability as soon as the encounter starts. It stuns multiple enemies at once, pops them all up, does good damage, and gives you a second to breathe. Here's Mulan using her Flame Tongue ability in a similar way. She rushes multiple enemies down and stuns them in midair. Here we have the Christmas Ghoul, and his abilities are really unique in that they focus down single high value targets. His ice and thunder spells work in conjunction to keep a really dangerous enemy juggled and airborne for a significant period of time. That's crazy. And yes, even Donald. Here I finish my air combo and I hit the ground. The enemy is low enough that I don't have time to jump back up and start another one. But Donald uses thunder to continue my punish. I'm able to jump back up and get a whole nother air combo's worth of damage for free. This might not sound very useful, but like I've mentioned before, being able to do safe and consistent damage is so important when you're on level 1. For the first time ever, it's true. Your friends are your power. Playing on crit level 1 just lets you step back and see these interactions take place. Seeing an ally use one of their abilities is like finding an opening. You recognize that the balance of the encounter has shifted and you have to come up with a plan to take advantage of their help. It's really fun and interactive, and it adds to that feeling that combat is a dance. It's a dance between you and your enemies, but also alongside your partners. They make a move and you react to it. You're working together as a team. Teammates also offer up one of the most useful tools in your whole kit: limits. Limits take all of your magic, but they do consistent damage and you're completely invulnerable during them. I never used limits back in the day because they kept me from healing, and that's cringe, but on level 1, I'm getting hit less frequently and I'm using potions more often. At this new difficulty, killing enemies by doing big damage and like removing pieces off of a chessboard is more important than compensating for your mistakes. The goal is to not really make many mistakes, so you don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to use all your magic to heal. Limits are an awesome risk-reward mechanic, and they turn out to be a great way to start fights and to end them. If you know that the encounter is about to be over, just use all your magic on a limit. They also serve a defensive function. When you're low on health, they're the perfect way to keep yourself safe during a boss's desperation move. Not to mention they're really freaking cool. Donald and Goofy also allow you to use your drive forms. Each drive form is different and they're useful in very different ways. Valor form is the melee focus form and outputs high damage in the early game. Wisdom form is the ranged/magic based form. Limit form is a high damage single target form, perfect for killing bosses. Master form specializes in crowd control and further enhances magic. And final form takes the best of all other forms, but it is very costly.
This is it. Freeze!
Drives deplete your drive gauge, and the only way to replenish it is by dealing damage or taking damage. Two things that are very dangerous on level 1. You can also use drive recovery, but only when you're outside of combat. Drives are another extremely useful tool in your repertoire, but I feel like most people know that. I mean, they're so dang cool that anybody who's played Kingdom Hearts 2 used them all the time. I know I did. What you may not have noticed, and what ended up becoming a really important mechanic for me on level 1, was that popping a drive form fully replenishes your magic and your health. This gives the drives a utility outside of themselves. A lot of times I would be in the middle of a boss fight or a really tough room, and I would pop a drive form just to get my health and magic back and revert. And I'd revert instead of staying in them because typically, drives are not nearly as safe or overpowered as they are in a normal playthrough. You see, each form is tied to a growth ability. These are defensive and movement abilities that can be leveled up by performing certain actions, not by leveling up your character. All of these help make each form feel unique and stand out, but they're also incredibly limiting. In each form, that growth ability is the only defensive option you can use. You can't dash in any form but wisdom form. You can't double jump in any form but master form. And limit form is the only form that you can roll and block in. This leaves each form feeling like they're hyper specialized to their specific use, but they're not super useful outside of that. Defense is so important on this difficulty that not having access to the tools to keep yourself safe can sometimes be more of a drawback than the drives are worth. I really like this trade-off because it doesn't make the drive forms feel like a straight upgrade over base Sora. They have their uses and they're good at them, but you have to keep in mind their limitations when you're utilizing them. Honestly, the coolest part of the drives is the growth abilities themselves. Once you level those abilities up enough, they all become useful to you as base Sora. Leveling up these abilities as much as you can is crucial to beating this game on crit level 1. Seriously, you don't even have a dodge roll until like the middle game when you level up limit form. So for all the grinders out there, this one's for you. Crit level 1 doesn't entirely leave you behind, but having access to all of these growth abilities at the same time when you're base Sora makes you feel like a god. Like your dash goes super far, your double jump parries enemy attacks on startup, your dodge roll has tons of iframes. By the end of this game, with everything fully leveled up, base Sora is sick. And by the time you have all of these abilities in the late game, you don't have to spend so much mental energy on picking the right openings and being so careful. You're able to go a little sicko mode yourself. And you know what? You earned it. You've spent so much time by this point learning the game and playing optimally that the devs are like, you're a little OP now. And by the end game, you still take tons of damage and enemies are still really strong. You still have to think, but you don't feel so handicapped. Like, considering your abilities and your mobility, you would never know that you're just on level 1 by the end. And honestly, that's all I have to say about this game. Of course, I have complaints about some very frustrating and unfair situations that the game will put you in, but they're really minor. Compared to how gratifying of an experience it is to play through and beat this game on level 1, you can throw those complaints out the window, dude. I have personally played through this game at least 10 times, and I've played through on level 1 twice now. And I know for a fact I'll come back to it. It's just such a satisfying and interesting experience that I had to share it with you. So give it a shot. Even if you're not like a diehard Kingdom Hearts fan, if you like these kinds of games and you're a fan of like the action RPG genre, if you like all this, this might just scratch a new itch. It's a lot of fun. Play it. They got that shit on PlayStation and Xbox now. They even got it on PC now on the, Look, it's worth it. Just don't buy that cloud shit on Switch. I want to say thank you to anyone who's made it this far and has watched this video all the way through. It means a lot for you to give me a chance as a creator on a platform that is pretty oversaturated. I'd like to make YouTube a more regular thing, so if you want, just toss a little subscribe my way. Rate 5 stars, add to watch later, all that shit. I've never made a video like this, so if it sucks ass, please tell me. But also, like, I might get better. I've also got other videos on this channel. Subscribe. No pee, no poop. They're not like this one, but if you want to check them out, leave me a comment and say you hate me and you hope I die. Bye. 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 Happy Valentine's Day.